Batman is one of the greatest heroes who has ever lived, and has saved untold trillions of humans and aliens in his time, and has even saved not only the universe, but the entire multiverse as well. He is also an amazing fighter and tactician who has come up with ways of defeating the most powerful beings in the universe, including Superman and Darkseid. So needless to say, it's a lucky thing that he's a good guy. After all, an evil Batman is capable of anything. But of course, this is comics, and so across the multiverse there have been many evil versions of Batman, who are just as deadly and ingenious as the Batman that we all know and love. And this video is going to go over the 5 most evil versions of Batman in the multiverse. Though we won't be including any time Batman has been mind controlled, because that's not really turning evil, it's just being mind controlled. Red Sun Batman. In this universe, Superman's baby rocket doesn't land in America. Instead, it lands in Russia, and he is raised as a communist, who eventually ends up ruling Russia and steadily becomes more and more of a dictator. And he also kills the parents of a kid who grows up and becomes this universe's Batman, and dedicates his life to taking out Superman, even going so far as setting off dozens of bombs across Russia just to get Superman's attention. Now, I think this version of Batman believes that killing dozens, if not hundreds, of innocent people just to get Superman's attention is acceptable, as in he is focusing on the greater good, the bigger picture, and sacrificing a few people to bring down Superman isn't really that big a deal. And to be fair, living under Superman's tyrannical rule is no doubt not that much fun. So maybe he has a point, maybe there is the necessary cost of bringing down a dictator. But then again, he is still a mass murdering terrorist, so And as we all know, the people who believe their cause is just usually end up committing the worst of atrocities. And the truth is, this Batman isn't really interested in helping or liberating the world from Superman. Not really. He just wants to hurt Superman in revenge, which, although understandable, is not very heroic. And when he finally manages to fight Superman, even temporarily taking away Superman's powers, all Batman does is beat the hell out of him and then stick him in a hole, so he can live out a very long life underground in a perpetual torture. If Batman actually wanted to help people, he'd just kill Superman and end his reign once and for all. After all, he's already killed so many people, what's one more at this point? But instead, he squanders the opportunity so that he can make Superman suffer for longer. And this revenge is ultimately Batman's undoing, as Superman gets free with the help of Wonder Woman, and then is going to give Batman a lobotomy and use him as an example to keep others in line. But Batman isn't interested in that, and so, much like Hitler did, he commits suicide rather than being captured. His is a short but still pretty evil run. Justice Lord Batman. A classic show and a classic story. In an alternate universe, or possibly alternate future, as is later said on the show, Lex Luthor has become president and goes mad with power. Quite literally. And after he kills the Flash, the Justice League steps in to stop him, and he decides to respond by launching all of the nukes in America, killing everyone he can in a nuclear Armageddon. And the only way Superman can stop him is to use lethal force. Now, to be honest, I can think of a few ways Superman could stop him without using lethal force, and though they say it is the only way, I think it's actually because Superman has realised that some villains just need to be killed for the good of everyone, and Lex Luthor is very much one of these villains. He's just too dangerous and too powerful to be allowed to live. Yeah, he doesn't have superpowers, but his intellect easily makes up for that. And if the Justice League had stopped there, it would have been fine. But of course, they turn into fascists and basically take over America and maybe the whole world. All in the name of keeping the people safe, of course. And that's how Batman has justified turning evil. Yes, people have less freedom and less control over their lives, but they've created a world where no 8-year-old will ever have to watch their parents killed by a madman with a gun. Fortunately, the Justice League from the normal universe comes over, and Batman is able to convince Batman that he is wrong by simply saying,
"They'd love it here, don't you think? Who? Mom and Dad. They'd be so proud of you."
and he triggers Batman's conscience because in his heart Batman knows his parents would hate this world. It is a slap in the face of everything they believed in. And so he turns good again. And because of that, you may actually wonder why he's on this list, but it's actually quite simple. For years, he helped enslave a large portion of the world's populace. Yes, he did see the error of his ways eventually, but if you look at all of his rogues gallery, they've all been given lobotomies because they were too much trouble. And that's just the ones that have been left alive. How many people did they kill in the name of peace? How many non-supervillains do they have to get rid of in the name of peace? How much freedom have they had to take away in the name of peace? I mean, it adds up to quite a lot, and he went along with it for years. Hell, he probably planned most of it. He is, after all, the Justice League's tactician. So you've got to admit, he is pretty damn evil, even if he's not the most evil Batman on this list. Tim Drake Batman. Now, not all the evil Batmen on this list are Bruce Wayne, and in the Titans comic, the present-day Titans go to their future, where they meet their grown-up and much more powerful adult selves. And the Tim Drake Robin has become Batman, one thing that he swore he would never do. Now, at first, everything seems fine, as their older selves just seem to be pretty badass and pretty on it when it comes to fighting crime. But as any comic book reader knows, when a team travels to the future, it is always a dystopian world where the team themselves have turned evil and become the oppressors. And this story is no different. It's a trope for a reason. It's just a classic story. Through some investigation, they learn that the Titans have become fascists and that Batman is at the core of their belief, as he is the one that convinced the others to go down this route and use their powers to take control of the population. And Batman also spends his nights out with Joe Chill's gun, executing criminals, such as the Joker's daughter. Now in his mind, he's redeeming a tool of evil. In everyone else's mind, he is just a murderer. But he also enjoys torturing villains, such as him having Superman heat vision off Deathstroke's arm in interrogation, just to get him to talk. It is evil, but quite logical. After all, a man can only see so many body parts disappear before he breaks and tells you whatever you want to know. And no amount of military torture training can prepare you for being limbless. But what really makes him dangerous is his ability to rationalise his actions and to convince such brave and noble heroes that it is the correct thing to do to oppress people. Now, some of the Titans do actually abandon his course and they're actually got a sort of resistance together to fight against him. But not Beastman, Wonder Girl and Superboy. And Superboy even sees Lex Luthor as his true father now, in part thanks to Batman. And no one suspects anything. Even when Batman tells them to defeat their younger, weaker selves, they still just blindly follow his orders. And that is true evil. It's the kind of evil that people use to create a cult that gets its own members to commit suicide. Again, not forcing them to do it, but convincing them that doing it is the correct thing, that it's right to take your own life. And in a way, a silver-tongued, charismatic Batman is the most dangerous villain there is. And that is why he's on this list. Not just because he took over a large populace and made them follow his rules like a dictator. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Not just because he's killed and tortured people. Again, pretty bad. No, it's the fact that he is able to charm people into doing what he wants. And that is just so impossibly evil. Owlman. In an alternate universe, Batman is not Batman. Instead, he is Owlman. And he is evil, as is the rest of the Justice League. In this universe, all the Justice League are evil counterparts, some with different names, some with the same. But Batman is definitely still very much the same character, he just has a different costume. And not only have they conquered that planet they live on, killing countless people, and now rule it with an iron fist, but now they are conquering other dimensions as well. Though his greed is ultimately Owlman's downfall, as he meets another dimension's Batman and is taken down. Batman then impersonates Owlman to stop the evil Justice League from invading their world. But while he is gone, Owlman gets free and takes Batman's persona for his own, wreaking a crime of havoc all across Gotham and America dressed as Batman, convincing everyone, including the heroes, that he is Batman. And he gets up to so much trouble that the whole of the League comes together to stop him. Of course, Owlman is able to evade them fairly easily, But when Batman returns with no idea what's going on, he finds that he's being hunted by the entire Justice League. And he only manages to escape by getting help from the most unlikeliest of sources, the Joker. And the two of them end up teaming up to clear Batman's name, as the Joker is the only one who's realised that it's not Batman in that costume, it's an imposter. Now, as I'm sure you can work out yourself, Owlman is just as smart as Batman is, and so he is able to capture the entire Justice League and place them in ingenious death traps. Fortunately, Batman and Joker are able to storm the castle, as it were, and then Batman calls in backup from all of the Batmen across the multiverse, but still it's a close fight between the two of them, and Owlman does almost win. But of course, Batman takes him down eventually and everything goes back to normal. But he's still a pretty evil version of Batman. And of course, Owlman doesn't just feature in Batman the Brave and the Bold. In the Justice League Crisis from Two Earths film, they have another version of Owlman there who is even more evil. Yes, he is a crime lord who has conquered his planet as well, and of course killed a lot of people to get there, but when he figures out how to go to other dimensions, he isn't interested in conquering them. Instead, he builds a bomb that when detonated in the right dimension will cause a wave of destruction that will wipe out the entire multiverse, killing trillions of life forms in each and every universe in the multiverse, literally ending all life in existence. So this Owlman is pretty damn evil. Fortunately, Batman is able to stop him, but still, coming up with a plan to wipe out the universe, and almost succeeding as well, that makes this Owlman one of the most evil people who has ever lived in DC Comics. Now, you may be wondering why I haven't mentioned any of the Batmen from the Dark Knight Metal comics, and that is because they are all evil. They all did some horrible things, but they were all forced to do them. As it is explained, they are dark imaginings from the DC main universe. So they're really just people's imagination and not really sentient. So they don't really have a choice about being evil, is what I'm getting at. They were just born that way. Although if you do want to have a look at the atrocities that they have committed, check out their origins in the link in this video's description. But of course there is one of these Dark Knight Batmen that does have to be mentioned, and that is of course the Batman Who Laughs. A Batman so evil that he not only killed the entire Bat family in cold calculating blood, but he then destroyed his entire world and dimension. And then he travelled to others doing the exact same, forming an evil league of Batmen to take over the multiverse with. He even killed a Manhattan Project Batman and stole his body so that he could become a god and defeat Perpetua. Not to stop her because she was a villain, no, he wanted to take her place. And the process of him getting to this level and fighting her required him to destroy hundreds, if not thousands of universes to act as fuel sources for his power. So really, this is probably hands down the most evil version of Batman that there ever has been. And you may wonder why he's so evil, and it's actually quite simple. He killed the Joker, and in doing so he released a toxin that was stored in the Joker's body that basically turned him into the Joker. So this is a Batman if he ever became the Joker, or rather a Joker with all of Batman's intellect, training and wealth. So yeah, not really that much of a surprise that he's the most evil Batman there is, and has the highest murder counts of any Batman, and possibly any villain in the DC universe. As I just said, he has literally destroyed universes with trillions of life forms in them. And he is the very worst type of Joker as well. He isn't one who wants to play games, or wants to just prove a point through some madcap scheme. Not really. What he wants is constant anarchy that leads to destruction, and he wants to do that to the entire multiverse. He wants to watch all of the multiverse burn. And that is why he's so goddamn evil. And those are the 5 most evil versions of Batman. Do you agree with my choices? Or are there any other Batmen that you think are more evil and should have been listed instead? Be sure to let us know in the comments. And I'd just like to quickly remind everyone that we have some merchandise available on our store, the prices of which have just been reduced. And I'd like to say thanks to all of you who have donated to the Needle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. And as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment.